Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say Eid Mubarak. It is now the final day of Ramadan, and we're going to be done with fasting, done with Ramadan. But inshallah, we will keep our habits and our consistency, the ones that we have developed throughout Ramadan, whether it's praying, reading Quran, just remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the day by fasting, or maybe we will even continue to fast after Ramadan, maybe once a week, like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. He did, I think, 2 times a week. So maybe we'll continue with some of these great habits that we have. For me, inshallah, I've been reading Quran before Ramadan and more throughout Ramadan, but I always seem to learn more things every time I read it. And alhamdulillah, I feel lucky to have been blessed with the intellect, so that way when I do read the Quran in English and I listen to it in Arabic, so that way I can learn more of the Arabic words. Inshallah, I think this year I want to learn how to read and write Arabic, so that way I can read the Quran in Arabic straight, instead of listening to it in Arabic and then reading the translation in English. That would be a great accomplishment for me. But luckily, alhamdulillah, my English is so well that I can understand some of these deeper meanings that are in the Quran, because it is filled with metaphors and examples and stories for us to ponder about, and that is one of the beauties of the Quran. It is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the reason I was reminded of this is because the other day I was on a TikTok live, and they were trying, I wasn't live, but I requested to join. There was these two brothers. It seemed like, well, they're not brothers, I don't think so, but they definitely read and speak Arabic. So they were able to read the Quran, and they were trying to find a fault in the Quran by saying that there's a verse that says there is an unlettered prophet that is written in their Torah and the Injil, which is like the books at the time. So they're basically saying, how can your Quran contradict, saying if it's written in there, then it must be correct. So how can you say that the Bible is wrong if it's saying it's correct? And throughout the discussion, my claim was that the word, so first they're claiming that the word written means written in a book and it's been preserved. But you see how we have to add more meaning to that, to the word written. And I was saying that the word written is coming as a metaphor, but they were unwilling to even consider that the word written may mean something other than what they think. When you say written in English, what is it written in? You have to ask, if something is written, I mean, yes, we can make an assumption. In this day and age, it can be written in pen and paper, but you can write things online. You can write things in the ground. You can write things in the sand. Things can be written to a USB hard drive. It's being written in a medium. There needs to be a medium of something to be written in. And that was my explanation, that the way they're taking this verse out of context in order to try to prove that the Quran is like false. I did not have the insight at the time to recall the verse, but there is a verse in the Quran that states there are some verses that are clear and concise in the Quran, and those are the foundations of the book, meaning like legislation, pay zakat, the rules of marriage, the taxes, etc. Like, those are clear rules. It's not like, oh, what does this mean? No, it's saying do this, do that. There's no confusion. Those are the foundations of the book. And the verse continues on to say that other verses are elusive, that we do not know the meaning entirely, and the full meaning of that verse is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that the people try to take these elusive verses and try to make, I forgot exactly what the wording says in the ayah, but they try to take these verses and make disputes among them. And that's exactly what was happening. Alhamdulillah, though, the insight of that verse came to me after I got off the live, after they were not willing to discuss anymore or consider the claim. Because then I continued on to ask them about Prophet Abraham. Because, truthfully, the 3 major religions of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity all stem from Abraham. And what was the story of Abraham? I cannot tell the story as good as Mufti Menk, I feel like, but Ibrahim alayhi salam was one of my favorite prophets. It had the best the best story because he's the first person after Adam and Eve to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he's so relatable to every single person on earth because to begin with, they used to worship, his father used to make the stones, right? The idols, the statues that people would worship. And as he grew up, he was wondering, like, why are these people worshiping these stones that my dad is making? They have no way to harm them. They have no way to benefit them. My dad is making them. So how can they be helping them, right? It's their gods, they say. So it didn't make sense to him, and he wanted to find who the real God was. Because, you know, as humans, we have the innate nature to worship something. I mean, we've been created. And if you've been created, like, you don't just come into existence from nothing. So something is stronger and more powerful than us that deserves our reverence, our admiration. And that would be the God. So he asked himself, who is this real God? He wants to find out who the real God is. And I believe the story goes, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But I believe the way the story goes is he goes out into like the mountains or the cave. He leaves the area for a while, and he's thinking to himself, is it the sun that's God? Is it the moon? Like, is it the stars? Is it all these different things? And he realized, no, it's not those things because they come and they go. Like, they literally, the sun rises and it goes away. Something cannot be all powerful if it comes and goes. The moon comes and goes. The sun comes and goes. The wind comes and goes. The rain comes and goes. The lightning, it comes and goes. It's not forever. So he knew that these things cannot be God, and that he cannot worship those like the sun or the moon, because some people did worship the sun and the moon, etc. But he realized, he was given the insight from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the one who put the sun that rises in the certain path every time and it comes up and down precisely, perfectly, like it's not like one day is 24 hours, the next day is 48 hours. It's always perfect and precisely planned. The one who made it that way, the one who put it in that specific way, is the God. Is this focusing or what? Sorry about that. So yeah, the one who put those, it made everything the way it is, precisely and perfectly planned, that is the one who is God. The one who made him, the one who made everything the way it is, perfectly planned. That is who God is. And after he realized that, then he wanted to spread the message. But I believe, so maybe the ordering I'm saying is wrong, but Ibrahim had some doubts. He had some doubts. It wasn't doubt. He said because in the Quran it says he had full faith. He had full faith, but he wanted reassurance. He's fully believing and submitting to God, but he wanted some reassurance in his glory and his reverence, and that he is worshiping the correct, like who he believes to be is the correct God. He wanted reassurance, right? Which is what we would say we might have some doubts. You know, you'd have to first commit first, have the full faith, and then you ask for the reassurance from who you have faith in. So God inspired him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired Ibrahim to take 4 birds that he would train to come to him when he would call them. He trained 4 birds to come to him when he called them. And God inspired him to cut up these 4 birds, kill them basically, cut them up into pieces, so you know they're dead, they're cut up, and mix their pieces around, and then spread them around the mountains, like spread them in 4 different places. Then come back to like where you started and call them back, and they all came back to him. So he trained those birds, he killed them, he spread them apart, and this is how God showed him how he brings things back to life. Because he's the one who brings life, and he's the one who brings death, and he's the one who will bring us back to life on the day of judgment. And this is so relatable because I don't feel, maybe personally, now this is my own like opinion, I don't think nobody is just born and they have full faith, because you know, we don't even speak language when we're growing up, we're babies, and then we learn and grow up, and then we start to have some intellect and start to think and question. And I don't think people necessarily, they're born knowing fully who God is. And if that was the case, then everyone would be worshiping God. Everything would be perfectly, precisely ordained with our religion, our worship. From the very beginning, there would be no disputes. But that's not how it is. And that's why I have this belief that, like I said, we grow up to learn who God is. And this relates to Ibrahim and all of us, because as we grow up and learn, we question, we ask questions. See, he asked questions. It is not wrong to question. He questions, is this God? Is this God? Is this who I should be worshiping? And he set out with a mission, an intention. He wants to find the real God. And then the questioning comes, and then he was inspired to have the correct answer. And then he asked for reassurance in his answer, and he was given because he had full faith. And he asked that question, he was given assurance. So we need to be like Ibrahim. All of us are born, and we need to be like Ibrahim alayhi salam. We need to ask questions. We need to then, once we have been inspired by the correct answer, have faith in the answer. Because if he did not have faith, he would not have asked the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for reassurance. You cannot ask somebody you don't even know is out there, is capable of doing something for you or giving you reassurance without you believing in them. So that is my little story today about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and how it reminded me. This is how I got to all of these lessons today. Like I said, Eid Mubarak. I hope this Ramadan was very good for you. If you are fasting, if you are not, and you're not a Muslim and you're new to Islam, or you're just wondering about this video, then hopefully you learned a little something. I'm gonna have way more stuff going on, and I think even soon I may be even doing like TikTok lives, and we can have like real questions that people might have about Islam. Wow, it doesn't want to focus. What's going on? Yeah, I'm sorry that the video goes out of focus. Yeah, I think I'm going to be going on TikTok live and getting like real questions from people who don't know things about Islam, or they have misconceptions, if they're interested. Because some of these people on TikTok live, they're really only looking for arguments, really. Like, they're not actually looking for any truth. And if you come to them with any arguments, they just continue, or like any claims, then they have no reasoning. So I want to be able to actually teach people about Islam, people who have real questions, and not just trying to argue, because it just looks bad. Like, it makes people look dumb, unfortunately. Like, it's like you guys are arguing for nothing because no one's willing to actually think about the perspective. Anyway, that's all for today. See you. Alaikum assalam.